Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back, sisters. You're watching Women's AM with myself, Ayan, and joining me on the panel today, our sisters Nazia, Sister Shahina, and Sister Khafaya. It's now time for our final segment this morning, where we take a look at the rights of the Muslim and visiting the sick. We have a slide coming up, alhamdulillah. The Messenger of Allah ﷺ said, "Whoever visited a sick person does not cease to swim in mercy until he returns home. If he was to sit down, he would be immersed in it." MashaAllah. You know, this is one thing I've not heard of before. I mean, I've heard of the obligation of visiting the sick, but this is really nice to know that there's this hadith. But to be immersed in it, MashaAllah, in the mercy of Allah. Yeah, alhamdulillah. I mean, Sister Shahina, what would you say? I mean, we know it's an obligation to visit the sick, but a lot of us feel maybe reluctant to do that. Why is that?
I think, first of all, that was a really beautiful hadith, and why would you not want to visit a sick person after listening to something like that? I think the reality is also, people have different culture sometimes. You know, sometimes people don't want to be visited, they want to be left alone when they're not well. But, I mean, when we learn about hadiths like that, it's something that we should learn, teach, understand. And my point is, I want to get the reward. And I know when someone comes to visit me when I'm sick, for the sake of coming and making me feel better, it makes all the difference. It's such a good distraction. There is a lot of benefit in it. And ultimately, we all want to be, you know, rewarded in that way. And we know the common one where Muhammad sallallahu in At-Tirmidhi narrated that Ali, may Allah be pleased with him, said, "I heard the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam say, there is no Muslim who visits a sick Muslim early in the morning, but 70,000 angels send blessings upon him until evening comes. And if he visits him in the evening, 70,000 angels send blessings upon him until morning comes, and he will have a garden in paradise." SubhanAllah.
You know, for me, I think the thing that we have to be careful here with is the fact that we don't make any kind of assumptions that actually they may not want to have visitors. Because I think when I read these hadiths, and there are so many hadiths about people when they are sick, what you actually find is the whole issue of why it's so important to visit them is because we must never leave them in isolation. Because part of the sickness, and in ways, the best way that you can help a person who is sick is actually be in their company, because Allahu Alam what they are suffering and what they are going through. But it makes such a huge difference when you have somebody around you who's visiting you, who cares, and it's showing that kind of, it actually kind of helps you to want to fight whatever it is that they're going through. And I think that's a right of theirs, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling you, there's so many hadiths telling you to the point that you should visit these people.
Right. But that's the point, you use the right word, I mean, Sister Khafaya. It is a right upon us to visit the sick, and then we tend to forget that it's an obligation, it's a fard al-kifaya, communal obligation.
That's the right, it's right, it's a communal obligation. And like Sister Nazia rightly said, you know, when you're ill, you visit someone who's sick, because imagine being in a hospital in a sick bed and there's no one coming to visit you. But the moment people visit you, you get, you know, you perked up because you feel that, no, I'm being valued here, someone cares about me. You bring them food and you remind them about the hadith that, you know, because when you're sick, I feel sometimes a bit jealous of those who are sick in a good way, because it's an expiation of sins as well. And then the Prophet ﷺ says we make dua for them. And again, having known that there's 70,000 angels making dua for me, I'll be out there doing it. But remember, Abu Bakr, no, it's just nowadays we just say we're too busy to do these things, and like you said, it's a communal obligation. And again, it's just making us know that there are people around with that care. And remember, Abu Bakr, sorry. I have to say this one. Abu Bakr, you know, when the Prophet ﷺ said it's one of the person that go through all the gates of Jannah. One of the reasons for him going through that was he visited the sick. You know, in that morning he did so many good deeds, and one of them was visiting the sick.
You know, I know of an example where a doctor went to visit a patient, and basically this patient was suffering from a disease which meant they were like locked in. So they couldn't speak, they couldn't move, they couldn't talk. And it was naturally assumed with this person that therefore they were unresponsive or anything like that. And when they saw this individual, it was just completely heartbreaking to see someone in such a situation, because it makes you reflect upon your own blessings and to realize that, you know, health can come to you as a test. And when, you know, we don't appreciate what we have, but when you look at a situation where people suffer, it makes you really appreciate Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's blessings. So this doctor then, you know, no one was really talking to this individual at all, obviously. So he just basically went to the patient, rather than just getting the notes from the nurse. He said to that patient, if you can understand me, blink. Yes, once, no, twice. And basically, they started to respond to that. And although it was just in the expression. That's all you could see, that the sudden release of, do you understand what I mean? And then you begin to understand the importance of
it's
it.
It builds our relationship as well as an
Exactly.
ummah. It reinforces
It
the fact
does.
that we are an ummah. I'm
We are
really
an ummah.
sorry. I'm going to have to
You're
stop.
going to cut me off.
I know, I'm going to cut you off as well. Unfortunately, we have come to the end of today's show, but do join us again tomorrow where we'll be discussing time management. Before we go, here's another quick reminder of this week's competition.